voiceover translation. Thank you for putting it on recording. Yeah. And our Vietnamese also will come up with all the voiceover translation very soon also. 1 and 2 at one shot. But we are struggling with ACI 1. We managed to do everything on time for ACI 2. But for ACI 1, we are still struggling. We are stuck at class 7 to 12. Yeah. But I'm very thankful that the students, they are trying. We have 1 minute to go. Hey, welcome back everyone to ACI 2. This is chapter 9. Today is 27th of June, 2024. I am wrong. Let's gather our mind here and set our motivation as usual. Close your eyes and sit up straight. And bring your mind to your breath until you hear from me again. Now, bring to mind a being who is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, and ultimate wisdom. See them appearing before you just by way of you thinking of them. They are gazing at you with love, smiling at you with your healthy, great compassion. Your wisdom radiates from them, a warm, glowing glow encompassing you in its light. And we hear them say, think of someone who is hurting in some way. Think about how much you would like to help them. The worldly ways that you have tried or you might try. Recognize how those woolly waves form short. How wonderful it would be if we can also help them to stop their distress forever. Oh, that wish. And go into an intention when you're ready. Now bring our mind back to our holy guide. They know what we need to know, what we need to learn, and what we need to do. And so we ask them, please, please show me that. We are so happy that we have asked, and of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises, and we want to offer them something exquisite. We think of the perfect world that they teach us to create. Imagine we can hold in our hands and offer to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us in the form of the refuge prayer. Here is the great earth, filled with the smell of the incense, covered with a blanket of flowers, the great mountain, all lands, wearing a jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, make them the paradise of the Buddha and offer to you by this deed. May every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamiyatayami. I go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. I go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. Go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that we do in giving and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. And may it be so. Bring your mind back here when you're ready. Hi, Lynn. Sorry, I spelled your name wrongly. I will correct that later on. Let's go through the quiz. Okay, this is the quiz. Let me see what is the question. Okay, question 1. What is gacha? Very interesting. 50% say self-existent thing. Correct? 50% say thing that we don't like. Not necessarily thing that we don't like. It can be the things that we like that we think coming from themselves. Yeah. But most of the time we start out with somebody we don't like because that will help us to keep finding for the answer. Because when we get everything, we just enjoy. We don't say, why me? Why me? Then question 2. Why do we need to identify gacha? Interesting. Oh, okay. 50% says it is what emptiness is empty of. Correct? And 25% say it is a bad thing. Okay. And another 25% say we want to identify the thief. I'm very good at setting questions. I think not bad. I trapped you. I think the skill come from where, I suddenly recall. Probably when I was in college, Tunku Abdul Rahman. I was a lecturer for, I think, a short stint, about less than 2 years. Yeah, I have to, other than lecturing, we have to set paper as well. And my paper always selected, College Tunku Abdul Rahman, I think there are 5 branches in Malaysia. And my branch, my question, my subject, the question always been picked. So my student very lucky. So you know how to trap them. Say, I mentioned about the thief, I mentioned about all these things, right? So when they think, oh yeah, I heard about this thing. Okay, we identify the gacha. When I say identify the thief is a kind of like a metaphor, just to explain the reason why I need to identify the gacha. But the real reason of why we want to identify a gacha, the thing that never exists, is because that is what emptiness is empty of. Okay. Question 3, according to Swatantrika school, which is the 50-50 school, or it's also called the lower middle way, it's also called independent school. This is how things exist. How things exist. Everybody got it correct. Yay, 50% come from me. 50% come from the thing. Okay, great. Question 4. The metaphor in the magic show, the magician, corresponds to a person who still see things coming from their side but don't believe it. Bingo. And the last one. In the magic show metaphor, this person who don't see things as self-existence and don't believe so. Who is this person? So 66% say a bodhisattva who just come out from the direct perception of emptiness. And 33% say a bodhisattva who is in the direct perception of emptiness. And the answer is, ta-da, 33%. The bodhisattva who is in direct perception of emptiness. You don't see things as self-existent, and of course you don't believe so. Okay, the bodhisattva who came out from the direct perception of emptiness is the magician. Okay, so that is the quiz. By doing the quiz, I think it will help you to understand better. Because sometimes we think we understand, isn't it? So when we do the, oh yeah, the small little difference, then only we realize, oh, I think I understand, but comes up, oh, okay, now I know. Okay, so let's do a review of chapter 8 before we jump to chapter 9. Chapter 9 is on the first proof of emptiness, one or many. Last week, we learned the names of the 5 classical proof of emptiness. Right? We just name it only. And then we learn to set up, we zoom in into one, the emptiness of one or many, number 1. Then we zoom in into the emptiness of one or many. We learn to set up a logical statement. Right? These are the two things that we did. Okay, so when we set up the logical statement, we have the subject, assertion, reason, SAR. Subject, assertion, reason. Sometimes got 3 statements, sometimes 4 statements. Okay, so subject is what you are considering, your topic. Consider the 3 knowledge. Assertion is what you're trying to prove. They don't exist really. Reason, because they don't exist really as one thing, nor do they exist really as many things. And then the example will be they are like the reflection in the mirror. So here I want to review 2 important things here. One is the reflection in the mirror. The reflection in the mirror is a very, very important thing. It shows us that everything in our world, how our experience is we think that the thing is coming at us. We think that thing is coming at us, right? We feel that the thing is coming at us, in front of us, in itself, from itself, like the mirror, you know, but actually it's coming behind us. Okay? That one, the reflection in the mirror. We think the thing is coming in front of us. Remember the baby, you know, the baby, like you look at the mirror, the baby will reach out to the mother in front. They think it's in front, but actually it's behind. That is the reflection. It's very important. Okay. I have to think about that. When I learned that time, last time I learned, I don't understand. I understand, like not so understand. Sometimes it looks like understand. I don't know whether I understand or don't understand. But it is so profound. I realize that it's so profound. It seems very easy, but it's very profound. And then the next thing that we spend some time to understand some of the word, like really, because that is the key thing. Because if we don't explain the word well enough, and we directly go into doing all these things, then you will find very confusing. It's difficult to catch. So really is the key word. When we say really, it means that things are in itself and from itself. Okay? We say it really means that the things we think that have some nature in itself and from itself, independent of any other factor. So these are the 2 things that you have to get it very, very clear. And if you can see here, they say, consider the 3 knowledge. They don't exist really. They don't exist really as one thing, nor do they exist really as many things. You can see there are 2 things here, isn't it? So today, our job in chapter 9 is to prove this part. They do not exist really as one thing. Okay, now. So our job today, we zoom in into this part. They do not exist really as one thing. Because otherwise, you give me this statement, I don't know whether correct or not. How I know? You said they don't exist really. Huh? Because they don't exist really as one thing, nor do they exist really as many things. How I know whether it's correct or not? So I need to prove this part. Okay, now. So I'm proving this part. Okay, so chapter 9 is all about proving this one. What are we doing? We are taking the first proof of emptiness of one or many in chapter 8. And then we zoom in. We zoom in into this statement. They do not exist really as one thing. Okay, now. So today we're going to drill in this and drill in only on this part. I want to ask you, why? Why should we prove to ourselves? We are doing this proof of emptiness, isn't it? Why should we prove to ourselves? If Lord Buddha tell us things don't exist really, you just take it, that is great. Yeah. But if you can also prove to yourself, yeah, if you can also prove prove to yourself that will be even better. What are we trying to prove? We are trying to prove the things that we cannot see with our eyes. Okay? Things that we can't see or hear or touch, but we can understand it through clear thinking. Okay, so we say we want to prove emptiness. If Lord Buddha tell you, emptiness, things are empty. Hello, things are really empty, okay? Things don't exist really. If you can just take it, wow, I understand it. That is great. But if you can also prove to yourself, that is very important. Reason is, sometimes maybe at later part, you have some challenge in life. We have some challenge in life, right? And then we start to doubt. We start to doubt. And then we don't want to learn Dharma anymore. We just run away. So we have to prove to ourselves. And then our understanding will shift. And no matter how bad the situation, we will not give up. The most like me, just back out a bit. I don't let me take one step back. Right now also I'm taking one step back. Okay, I'm still trying to figure out a lot of things. So I want to help you to link that, you see. So because when I study, I don't really understand, okay? So I'm happy that because I need to prepare the class, it kind of like forced me to study so hard, because I'm a very responsible person. I cannot come to the class, just blah, 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 So I try to think and meditate and think and think, and I think some of the things that I don't understand, then I understand. So we say that chapter 8, proof of emptiness, right? Then we say proof of emptiness, okay, things don't exist really. And why we have to go through that kind of proof? Because if I just believe what Lord Buddha said, isn't it great? Yeah, it's great, rejoice. But don't forget, your fate is also coming from your seeds. And the seeds can finish and can end. They are changing moment by moment. But if you have proof to yourself, then your belief will be stronger than just blind faith. Because you go through that logical reasoning. Okay, so now we are ready. You say, okay, now I understand a little bit. That's interesting. Okay, I want to know how can we prove that, okay? Okay, so we set up logical statement. We got the subject, we got the assertion, we got the reason, right? And then we say we are going to zoom into the first one. Things don't exist really as one. Okay, so things don't exist really as one. We want to prove that, So subject, consider the three knowledge. Okay. Assertion, they don't really exist as one. Okay, they don't really exist as one. This is what we are trying to prove. And then the reason, because they have parts. Because they have parts. Remember in Swatantrika definition of emptiness, 50% come from them, 50% come from us. 50-50, they got parts. Okay? So we want to prove that now. So how to prove that? The three relationship must hold true. To prove that, we need to check three relationships. What are the three relationships? The three relationships about what? About these three statements. So we need to check. Number three must apply to number one. Okay, which means that the reason must be a quality of the subject. Okay, the reason must connect to the subject. Okay, 3-1. Let's remember the rule number one is 3-1. Okay, later we will go through some exercise to help us to get a feel of that. Next, rule number 2, 3, 2. I like to say 3, 2. If 3 is true, if the reason is true, then 2 is true. Then the assertion is true. If 3 is true, then 2 is true. We call it positive necessity. If the reason is true, then the assertion is true. Okay, no worries about that. I'm just telling you the rule first, then we'll go through and get and practice. Okay, and the third rule is, I like to say -2, -3, okay, which is negative necessity. If I negate statement number 2, if I negate the assertion, then I negate the reason. If I negate number 2, then I negate number 3. Okay, so let's see what it means. Let's see what it means. Let's try out with one example here first before we really go into proving that. Okay, I say 1, 3, reason apply to subject. 3, 2. If 3 is true, then 2 is true. -2, -3. If 2 is negated, then 3 is negated. Let's consider this one, the first example. Is it too small? I hope it's okay. Can see now? Okay. Consider the sun. So this is the subject. The sun is not blue, is my assertion. Because it is yellow, the reason. We are practicing the rule. Now I just want to practice help so that we know how to apply this one. So 1, 3. So we say, actually it's 3, 1. I always like to say 1, 3. It's the same. My mind like to work the other way now. The reason apply to the subject. Yellow apply to the sun. Correct or not? Yellow apply to the sun. Okay, I can accept that. Okay. Then 3, 2. If 3 is true, then 2 is true. If it is yellow, then the sun cannot be blue. Okay, sound logical? Okay, I can accept that. When they say if 3 is true, then 2 is true. I'm not saying whether it's correct or not. I'm just checking, if statement 3 is true, then statement 2 is true. Just that only. And then -2, -3. We negate statement number 2. Negate statement number 2. Okay, if the sun is not blue, if the sun is not blue, means that if the sun is blue, in a way, if the sun is blue, then it is not yellow. Okay, okay, that's how we apply. Okay, so just to practice the rules on it. Okay, let's practice another one. This one. Now look at this one. Consider the sun. The sun is not blue because it is green. Let's try the statement. Let's try 3 and 1. 3 and 1. We want to check whether the reason apply to the subject or not, whether they apply or not. So we say the sun is green. Green apply to the sun or not? No. So it's out. It's out. So this one is out already. So you don't need to consider further. If it is out, you don't need to consider further. Okay, so next one will be this one. Example number 3. Consider the sun. It is not blue because we can feel the heat. Okay, let's check the rule. Rule number 1, 3 and 1. The reason apply to the subject or not. Let's see if the reason is the quality of the subject. We can feel the heat. The sun, we can feel the heat For the sun, yes, okay, correct. 1 and 3, okay. Then check rule number 2. If 3 is true, then 2 is true. If 3 is true, then 2 is true. If we can feel the heat, then it is not blue. What? Nonsense, isn't it? So it's out. Okay, not? Okay. So while doing this, when you are doing that kind of proof, you're trying to prove to someone, make sure that the elements in the logical statement is something that they already know. Like for example, they know what is the sun. Okay, then you can use this example. They must know that blue. They must also know that yellow. Okay, then only you can debate with them on that, on the same ground that they already understand. You don't debate with somebody or you don't prove something, don't use the element that they don't even know. Okay, it's just that they haven't tied it. They say that they haven't tied it together only. They know there's a sun, they know blue, they know yellow, but they don't know the sun is yellow. Okay, so we want to connect the dot by helping them to tie the element together. Okay, so remember the rules are 3, 1. Okay, 3, 2, -2, -3. Okay, let's apply that to what we want to prove today. We say, consider the 3 knowledge. They don't exist really as one because they have parts. So we want to check rule number 1. The 3 knowledge have parts. Do the 3 knowledge have parts? So we have to prove that. We have to prove that first now. Okay. Instead of just prove the 3 knowledge have parts. Let's prove everything. Let's prove everything. That's what we are coming here now. We are going to prove everything in the world, all existing things can be divided into changing thing and unchanging thing. Changing thing can be physical thing or mental thing. Physical thing can be gross physical thing or subtle physical thing. So now we want to check it out. Is it true that the things have parts? Okay, let's check the gross physical thing. They are going to use the hand now. They say, okay, if let's say the hand, this is the hand. Okay, hands got parts or not? We want to check whether hands got parts or not. Okay, so when I cover this one, wait, this one's still here. Means that they have parts. If they don't have parts, when I press this one, then the whole thing should disappear. That proves that gross physical things have parts. I can give you other example like the hand. Okay. I raise up my arm. Okay. I raise up my arm. Okay. They have parts. How to prove that? If they don't have parts, okay, they have parts. If they don't have parts, then I raise this one will go up together, correct? They should come together. But because they have parts, so only this one come up. Same thing for the eyes. Okay. I wink it. I use one eye to just like that. The other eyes don't go together. That shows that they have parts. They are different. They have different parts. If they're together, then both will blink at the same time. Sometimes not necessarily, isn't it? I can just blink at, I can just wink at one eye. So they have parts. They have different parts. Okay. So that they want to show us that physical things have parts. This is in your question 3. Okay, question 3, they say, what is a good example to prove that gross physical things have parts? You can use that, the one that explained about the hand. Okay, next one will be the subtle physical things, subtle physical things. Today we are like a logician. Today I have to be a bit patient. Okay. So subtle physical things like atom. We say atom also got parts. Huh? Why atoms got parts there? Atom has parts. If they don't have parts, then this one will go. If they don't have parts, they don't touch each other at one side, at certain side, then all will be one. They will all overlap. If they don't have parts, then all the atom will overlap and will become, you cannot distinguish them, indistinguishable. And it will only be one atom. But because they have parts, somewhere they will touch. Okay? Either they got the top, the bottom, the side, okay, the left, the right, they have parts. The atoms, they have parts. If not, then they will become, they will overlap and become one. Because atoms have parts, they have different, you can see different formation like that. And therefore, we can have discrete item like food. If not, then we cannot have food, clothing, water. Okay. You can see that the atom, they have parts. So somewhere they touch. Okay, so that proves that subtle physical things have parts. Okay. Okay, that is in your question 4. Question 4. Do you need time to digest a little bit? I give you 30 seconds. Okay, now we move to the mental thing. Oh, mental thing is even more challenging. Okay. Mental things, they say mental things have direct and remote causes. And those direct cause and the remote cause, they are called parts. The parts. For example, you look at my picture here on the left side. Okay. My awareness, number 1, my awareness here. Why I got so many here? Okay, I take this one, number 1. My awareness number 1, okay, is the direct cause for awareness number 2. Okay, the awareness that flops to the second moment of awareness. Okay, so the awareness for number 1 is the direct cause for the awareness moment number 2. Okay, and then moment number 2 flops over into awareness moment number 3. So now, for this awareness moment number 3, the direct cause is number 2, isn't it? The direct cause, right? And then the remote will be number 1. Okay, so direct cause will be anything that happened immediately after the other one. There's no in between, there's no gap in between. But remote one will be there's some pause, some pauses between the events, so we call that remote cause. So one mental event or one awareness composed of direct and remote cause, got 2 causes, and these are called the parts. If there are no parts, imagine if no parts, then all the one mental event, all the mental event will occur in one moment in time. If no parts, then all the mental event would all happen simultaneously in one moment in time. So they have parts. They have the direct cause and they have the remote cause. Okay. So this one is also remote cause. Before number 1, that one is also remote cause. That's why I show another one. So this is the mental things. Okay, so changing things, we have physical, we cover two, gross physical and subtle physical. Then we now cover the changing, also we cover the mental things. And then now we are going into the unchanging thing. Okay. This is in your homework. Question 3 is on the gross physical. Question 4 is on the subtle physical. Question 5 is on the mental. Okay, on the mental thing. Now we want to look at the unchanging thing. Unchanging thing. What is the difference between changing and unchanging? Changing, they varies. 成住坏空. They will grow, they start, then they grow, then they will end. Okay, changing things, moment by moment, moment by moment. Whereas unchanging thing, they are, how to say? They don't vary. They don't start, they don't end. Okay, but they are not permanent. There's a difference there. Later we want to check it out. What is the difference between unchanging and permanent? Why we cannot say permanent, which is not so correct. Okay, let's check it out. Under unchanging, we can look at 3 examples here. We can look at emptiness, we can look at empty space, we can look at cessation. This is in your homework question 6. Okay, let's look at the emptiness. Let's look at the emptiness. I want to put down this one. Emptiness, when there is this thing here I'm holding, when this thing come into existence, then there is emptiness of the pen. The emptiness of the pen. The emptiness of the pen comes into existence and go out of existence when the thing is gone. When I don't have this thing, then there is no emptiness of that pen. Okay, now my pen, let's say this is my pen. When my pen come into existence, then there is emptiness, 100% emptiness, no 60% emptiness, 20% emptiness, 90% emptiness. It's not like that. Okay, the emptiness, when this thing I call my pen, when my pen come into existence, then the emptiness is also come into existence 100%. When this thing is gone, emptiness of the pen is also gone. It's also go out of existence. So emptiness go in and out of existence. They don't start, they don't grow, they don't end, no 20%, 40%, 60%, not like that. And they are not permanent. Can you see that they are not permanent? The emptiness go out of existence when the thing is gone. When my pen is gone, the emptiness is also gone. It's not permanent. But when this my pen come into existence, so as the emptiness also come into existence, and it's 100%. Okay, it's unchanging 100%. Okay. I got 100% emptiness. Jocelyn got 100% emptiness. When she's there, Jocelyn is there, her emptiness is 100%. When I'm here, my emptiness is 100%. When I'm not here, then there's no emptiness already, there's no Rich. So emptiness, we say the unchanging things also got parts. Then how does emptiness got parts? How does that, how they have parts? Where is the parts? Okay. That emptiness, let's say I have this pen. That emptiness, which is a quality of this pen, that emptiness, which is quality of rage, that emptiness, which is a quality of the Zoom, they are the different parts of the general emptiness. They are the different parts of a general emptiness. Okay, again, I mentioned that emptiness, which is the quality of this pen, and that emptiness, which is the quality of the Zoom, and that emptiness, which is the quality of the book, and that emptiness, which is the quality of rage, they are the different parts of a general emptiness. So emptiness also got parts. Okay, that is emptiness. Unchanging thing. The second unchanging thing is empty space. Empty space. It's not just space like in between here. I sit here, you sit there, there's a space in between. It's not that space. It is an empty space like I am sitting here. Okay, there is a space that is occupied by me. Okay? When I go away, the space is still there. Right? It's not occupied. The space that is not occupied, the space that is being occupied by me. The space is always there. It's either occupied or not occupied, and go away that's not occupied. So empty space is the absence of obstruction. Absence of obstruction. There's nothing to block it. The space is either occupied or not occupied. Empty space also got parts. North, south, east, west. They got the parts. North part, south part, east part, west part. Right? North, east, southeast, northwest, southwest. I don't know whether I missed anything. Okay, so they also have parts. Yeah, it's difficult for our mind, but we just use our clear thinking to think about it. Oh yeah, it makes sense because we cannot see with our eyes. We can use logical thinking to help us understand. And the third unchanging thing is called cessation. Cessation. Cessation is the absence of something. Absence of something. And they also have parts. What do you mean by that? You know, when we see emptiness directly, coming out of seeing emptiness directly, we have a cessation. There's one cessation where we no longer believe the things are coming at us. We no longer believe. We have a cessation on that. Okay? You gain one cessation, the cessation of I don't know, I no longer believe things are coming at me, even though I still see that way. I still see that way, but I don't believe. You gain one cessation after you see emptiness directly. And then there is another cessation. Just now, that first part of the cessation is called the cessation of the intellectual belief in self-existence. Intellectual belief in self-existence, which you gain a cessation after you see emptiness directly. You have that cessation. Remember the four Arya truth? One of them is the Arya truth of cessation. Okay. And then when you reach nirvana, okay, when you reach nirvana, then you gain a cessation on the innate belief of self-nature. You completely, you know, the innate belief is the tendency for you to see things as coming from themselves. You're born with that. You're born with that. You say, don't blame yourself. You're born with that. It's like inbuilt. This machine is inbuilt with that. So once you reach nirvana, you have a cessation on that. Cessation on the innate belief of self-nature. So cessation also got parts, which is the first cessation I mentioned, the intellectual belief in self-existence, and another part will be the innate belief in self-nature. In the magic show, who is the person who have given up the intellectual belief in self-existence? Who is that person? Guess who is that person? We got three characters there, isn't it? We have the magician, we have the spectator, and we have the late karma. Guess who is the person who have a cessation? The first part of the cessation. Anybody want to try? The three character only. Magician, spectator, or the late karma. Who is the one who have this cessation where they no longer believe things are coming from the sun? Magician, correct. The magician coming out of the direct perception emptiness, he no longer believe that the things are coming at him, but he still see it that way. He got the cessation of the first part. Now, we finished the parts. We already finished proving that all things have parts. So, if everything in the universe have parts, the three knowledge also have parts, right? The three knowledge also have parts. So we prove that. We prove that everything have parts. Okay, this is question 3. Physical, gross physical thing is question 3. I mention again. Question 4 in your homework will be subtle physical thing. Question number 5 will be the mental thing. And question 6 will be the ask you on the unchanging thing. Okay, so we go back to today, our goal. What is our goal? Our goal is to prove. We want to prove the first proof that things don't exist really as one. Okay, come back to this one. Consider the three knowledge. They don't exist really as one because they have parts. Okay, so with that rule number 1, we say the three relationship. We are checking the three relationship, whether they hold true or not. Number 1, we say the rule number 1, 3-1. We say the parts is a quality of the three knowledge. The parts apply to the three knowledge. Yes, okay, pass. Now number 2, in fact, we prove everything got parts. Just now we prove everything got parts. We take one step further, we prove everything in the universe, whether changing or unchanging, have parts. Next thing we want to do is rule number 2. 3-2. If 3 is true, then 2 is true. Okay, what is 3? 3 is the reason. If they have parts, then they don't really exist as one. Again, if they have parts, then they don't really exist as one. 3-2. Okay now. We want to prove that now. Okay? So if they have parts, they don't really exist as one. Why you say like that, huh? Okay, let's look at this one. This is very, very important. This one you need to think very, very deeply. If things have parts, we say that then they cannot exist really as one. And we already define what is really. Really means what? To exist from their own side, in itself, and from itself, independent of appearing to me and me perceiving it. Okay. So if things have parts, they cannot be self-existent. Why? Because when I actually look at something, wait, I close this one first. When I'm looking at this one, okay, I'm looking at the parts. I'm looking at the parts, long black. Remember the class we said long black. Okay, we have the color, shape, size, long black. 50% come from the thing, and then another 50% come from me. There's a mental picture coming from me, lay on the thing, making this a pen. Right, the 50-50. There's long black, yeah, they have parts. Then this part from my side. The mental image come from me, lay on the thing, making this pen. When we are looking at the thing, they say, it is impossible for us to see a pen without looking at the parts. And while we are looking at the parts, it's impossible for us to see a pen. That is very hard. You have to think about that. If nobody tell me also, I don't know. Okay, you understand? So after they tell me, and then I start to have to check. Is it true? Is it true? Is it true? They say, I repeat, very, very important. It's impossible to see a pen without looking at the parts. And while looking at the parts, long, black, it's impossible to see a pen. And you apply back to just now, we see the parts, then there's a mental image come from my side, lay on this thing, making this a pen. What I'm seeing is a mental picture of the pen in my mind, and I mistaken that as a pen out there in itself and from itself. I'm not saying there's no pen at all. Okay, I'm not saying there's no pen at all. I'm not saying, oh, you're imagining, oh, everything, just, hey, nothing is in the world. I'm not saying that, okay? Then when you can play back and listen to this thing, it's very, very important. And I try to work with my mind. Finally, I get it correct. And you see, something knowing it and explaining it is so not that easy. You know, you think, I know already. Okay, like you know yourself. Okay, to know and to explain is also another way, another extra work to do. Okay, I repeat something very, very important. When we look at something, when we look at anything, it's impossible for me to see the pen. I use the pen as an example. It's impossible to see the pen without looking at the parts. And while I'm looking at the parts, long, black, okay, while I'm looking at the parts, it's impossible for me to see the pen. What I'm seeing is a mental image in my mind. 50% lay on this, okay? And I mistaken that as the pen out there in itself, by itself, independent of any other factor. I think there's a pen in itself and by itself. And therefore, if things have parts, they cannot exist truly as one. Why? Because while we are looking at the parts, we cannot see the pen. And it's impossible to see a pen without looking at the parts. In fact, do you remember we said the 5 paths? Path of seeing is the third one, right? At the end of path number 2, just a short moment before you see emptiness directly, during that time, for the first time in your life, you see yourself, you see a mental image coming out from your mind. You see yourself creating and projecting dependent origination. You see the slow motion of dependent origination happening, and you finally realize the ultimate meaning of dependent origination. You see the slow motion, you know, like the tick, 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 tick. You know, we say times one snap finger 65 are so fast we cannot see. See, if people don't tell us, we wouldn't know. So after they tell us, we try to check. Cannot see, but sometimes you notice that really actually looking at you never really see the whole thing. You only get clues. You get clues. Clues means you get the parts. And then you yourself said, oh, it's a pen. And then at that at the end of the second path, that is when you really see the slow motion of the dependent origination happening. Tick, tick, tick. I want you to really spend some time to think about this one. I find that the whole class, the whole lesson, the most important one is this part. Only this slide alone, you can cook for a long time. And it will help you. I find that just now I mentioned about the different parts that we prove. Even if that one you don't know, also nothing much. But I think if you don't, this is the crucial, to me, I feel that this is the crucial point. Because they will link to how we are creating our world. I like to look, you know why I put the host here? It is because like at one time, one night, then I was at the garden on my house line, because at night cannot see very clearly, right? Then I see, and then I thought it was a snake, and I thought it was a snake. See, you see the parts, you see some clues. You see some clues, and then your mind will like come up with a mental picture of that. Oh, it's a snake. And then I was so scared suddenly, then I was really running inside. And then I said, got snake. Then when they said, wait, go. Then everybody come out, take the torchlight. Then when they say, yeah, it's just a host. So that's how we create our reality. So we want to prove that if things have parts, they cannot exist really as one, because what we are looking at is we are actually looking at the parts. We are looking at the parts, and then the other 50% come from our mental, our perception, right? 50% appear from them, 50% appear from us. It's impossible to see a pen without looking at the parts. And while looking at the parts, it's impossible to see the pen. I give you 1 minute to think about that. This one you have to cook. If you don't understand, never mind. Don't people, I always like to think about Kishila used 20 over years in learning all this stuff, right? So it's okay as long as you try to, okay, this is how I know how to write the sentence. I don't understand. Never mind, I try. But as time goes by, then you'll be able to understand more and more. You can take a snapshot of this if you want. I find that this is the most valuable of all, and I try to make it as easy to understand as I could. Okay, so let's go back to our logical statement, slide 16. Okay, what are we doing today? The whole chapter 9, we are trying to prove the first proof of emptiness. Okay, we just zoom in into the emptiness of one or many, and we zoom in into things don't exist really as one. Is it true things don't exist really as one? So we need to use the three relationship to check whether they hold true or not. So it's a 3-1. The reason apply to the subject. The three knowledge have parts. Okay, correct. 3-2. If 3 is true, then 2 is true. If things have parts, then they don't really exist as one. Okay, we just proved that. Okay, it's true. If things have parts, they cannot really exist as one. Why? Because it's impossible to see a pen without looking at the parts. And while looking at the parts, it's impossible to see the pen. Okay, then we check the last rule number 3, -2, -3. If 2 is negated, then 3 is negated. Okay, if 2 is negated, then 3 is negated. Okay, if they don't, if 2 is negated, then 3 is negated. If they not really exist as one, then they don't have parts. Difficult to understand, right? So I use a slide to help you to understand that. If things are not really exist as one, then they can't have parts. So the words are very confusing for me. So I need to write down not really exist as one. Okay, this one, not really exist as one. This one, really exists as one. Okay, really exists as one, the black one. Really exists as one is the gakcha, right? Not really exists as one means that 50-50 lah. Like this picture of this lady. I like this picture that shows that 50 things appear to us, 50 perceived by us. Okay, so the picture helps me to remember. So if things are not this one, if they are not this one, if they are not this one, if they are not this one, then means that they exist really as one. Okay, not like that, then you can easier for you. Then if things exist really as one, which is a gakcha, then they cannot have parts. Okay, true. Gakcha cannot have parts. They are 100% in itself, by itself. Okay, not? Okay. If things are not really exist as one, then they cannot have parts. I tell you, during my time when I was a student, this not drive me crazy. The whole class crazy about it. Nobody can understand. So many not. I don't know which not is that, is it? It's so difficult to work around. I need picture. I always need to draw picture. So to help me to understand, I need to draw out like not really exist as one, which is the 50-50. Okay, 50-50. Then exists really as one. If a thing exists really as one, they are a gakcha, isn't it? A self-existent thing. So I put it black lah to help me to understand a black color, okay? So we go back to the statement. If things are not, they are not really exist as one, so it's not this one, not this white color, means it's black lah. Okay. Then they cannot have parts. Okay, then I understand this easily. Then they have parts. Then they can't have parts. Gakcha cannot have parts. Gakcha is a 100% self-existent thing. A thing in itself and by itself. Okay, so we finished the logical statement. for this one, the three rule? Yes, Jaslyn.
Just now, if I didn't hear wrongly, you mentioned that emptiness itself, right, have parts, right?
Yes.
Gacha is the emptiness of. Gacha is emptiness of what? Of itself.
Gacha is what emptiness is empty of.
Emptiness is empty of. So
Yes.
gacha itself is not, it's really as one. Emptiness is one by itself.
Emptiness?
No,
You're
it's
asking whether emptiness is one by itself, is that?
because just now you mentioned that gacha is one by itself, right?
Oh, I mean that gacha will be like, if gacha, when we say gacha, right? When we say gacha, it means that the things, is coming from their own side,
Yes.
in itself and by itself.
Yes.
Yeah. So they cannot have parts. They can't have parts.
Oh, they cannot have parts. But they are also emptiness, right?
Gacha is not emptiness. Gacha is a self-existent thing. It's a
Oh,
self-existent thing. The thing that emptiness is empty of.
self-existence things.
It's a thing that never exists. It's a thing that never exists. Yeah. But we think they exist. Okay.
Sorry, because teacher Richard, but just I check self-existent in Chinese called 自存是存在还是没有存在？
I don't know about the Chinese. Yeah, the gacha in which class was that? Gacha, you can look at the class that we cover on the gacha. It is a self-existent thing. A thing never exists from their own side. Like let's say I'm angry with the boss. I'm angry with the boss, right? And I think that the boss is yelling at me from their own side. And I didn't do anything. It's 100%. That kind of boss. That kind of boss, 100%. Does that exist or not?
No.
That is a gacha in that context.
Okay.
In that context. Okay?
Okay, this page, the second statement, I don't quite get it. It said that, it's true. Other one, maybe I read out. Say it's true that if they exist really as one, then they can't have parts.
Okay. So you're referring to this one. Yeah. If things have parts, then they cannot exist truly as one. The reason is we learn this thing is not like I born that I know, is it? So we learn that they say that when it's impossible for us to look at one thing without looking at the parts, what we are doing is we're actually looking at the parts. And while looking at the parts, it's impossible for us to see a pen. They say we look at the long and black. We look at the long and the black, the parts, okay? The size, the color, the shape, okay? 50% comes from them. The parts, we are looking at the parts. And then 50% coming from us, the mental image that comes from my mind, 50% lay on this thing. What I'm actually seeing is a mental image in my mind. But I mistaken that as a pen out there in itself and by itself. So if things have parts, therefore, they cannot exist truly as one. Okay?
Think as part cannot truly exist as one. That means it's all standalone. The part is standalone. The parts is standalone, cannot come as one. If they got parts, they cannot come as one. That means it's all individually.
Because 50% come from them, the long and black. Let's say we say, where does this pen come from? Where does this pen come from? This is one. Okay, where does this pen come from? They have parts. They have these parts. Okay, and the parts, like what we actually see is the long and black, the color, the shape. Okay, and our mind, the other 50% is the one that paint this mental picture of a pen. The 50% come from our mind. Yeah. Yes, we glue them together. We conceptualize that. Yes, you can say that. Yeah, we glue them. We make them. This is the pen. This is an angry boss.
So in actual fact, actually, if they got parts, cannot be exist as one.
As one. Yes, they cannot exist as one. They cannot exist truly as one. Okay, so please cook on that. Please cook on that. And you will, I think that the material for this is very, very precise and concise. You can come back and refer to that again and again, because I have put all the essence, all the important thing here is all within here. Yeah. So just try to cook on that. Okay, so our logical statement, today we learned the 3 rules. We prove to ourselves that things cannot exist really as one. And Angela just now asked a very good question. Things have parts, they cannot exist as one, and that you have to cook on that. So remember that there are 2 parts to the first proof, right? Let me show you. Emptiness of one or many. Remember in chapter 8, we say, consider the 3 knowledge. They don't exist really because they don't exist really as one thing, which we already proved today. Nor do they exist really as many things. Do I need to prove this part? That they don't exist really as many things? No, Raymond say no need. Why? Because if I can prove to you that things don't exist as one, do I need to prove to you that this cartoon don't exist, that person don't exist, this one don't exist, this one don't exist? I don't have, because I already proved to you one thing don't exist. So all these multiple ones, they don't exist really as one. I'm not saying they don't exist at all. They don't exist really as one. The keyword is the really as one. If I already proved to you that things cannot exist really as one, then I don't have to prove to you that they don't exist really as many. And there's very important ramification in our class 9. This is very, very, very important. If things that have parts, like Angela say, they cannot exist really as one, and we prove that they don't exist really as one, and we prove that everything in the universe have parts. We just prove is that everything in the universe have parts. That means that nothing in the universe exists truly. Nothing in the universe exists from their own side. There's a very, very big ramification, implication to this proof. When I was a student, when I was learning that time, I don't understand at all, you know. But now I start to see the connection. Think about that, huh? We just proved to ourselves. If things cannot exist really as one because they have parts, like what Angela said just now, she asked to clarify again. Okay, we already proved to us things that have parts, they cannot exist as one. Then I don't really have to prove 2, we don't have to put 3. I don't have to prove one by one all the things in the universe. I don't have to prove one by one all the things in the universe. In fact, if things that have parts, they don't exist really as one, then we already proved to you all the things in the universe, they have parts. That means that everything in the universe, they don't exist really. They don't truly exist from their own side. Wow, that's a very serious implication. Oh my God. Then why my mind interpret in that way? The next question I was asking myself while I was preparing this one, then why my mind organized in that way? Why my mind organize it in that way? Yeah, that is the question I start to ask, Then why do I see myself in that way? Why I see myself being disrespected? Why I see myself not happy? Why I see myself having this negative emotion? Why I see myself being supported? So those are the questions, why I feel myself not being loved. And all those sufferings, they are not necessary. That is the implication. We can prove to ourselves how we create our own reality.
Is that proof to ourselves that is the way it exists?
So you can throw this question back to you. This is our class 9. We finish our class, we prove to ourselves, and there are implications. And the implication is different to, unique to individual, but the essence of it is the same. So I leave it to you to think about that. Okay. Please work hard on this chapter 9. The implication is so big, I couldn't believe that. I didn't know about that when I studied. Okay, I'm going to finish my class. Let me check what is the meditation that you have to do. Okay, the meditation that you have to do. Before that, let me check all the questions. Okay, we have covered everything, 3, 4, 5, 6. Question 1 and 2. Question 1 and 2. Question 1, they are asking you on this proof, which is this one. You just say, consider the 3 knowledge. They don't exist really as one because they're parts. That's question number 1. And then there's question number 1.
The proof called the emptiness of one.
Okay, this is what we have already done. Consider the 3 knowledge. They do not exist really as one because they're parts. That's question 1. Okay, let me check what is question 2.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Wow, Angela, who are you scolding?
Oh, no, my mother calling me.
Your mother calling. I'll let you know before I hear you swearing. Give you warning first. Just kidding. Okay, then question 2. Question 2. Why is it true that if something has parts, it cannot be one thing that really exists? Okay, let me read out to you here. When we say that something really exists, we mean that it exists independent of its parts. What parts? We see the long and black and our part from outside. But this can never be the case because we perceive something only by perceiving its parts. Means that we're actually looking at the parts. Our eye skips around to the major features of an object, the clue, and then our mind organizes this information into one whole object. Like what Angela said, we glue them together. There could never be a single object that exists in any other way. They cannot exist in any other way. Therefore, no single object can really exist from their own side in itself and by itself. Okay, that is question 2. And question 3, 4, 5, 6, I already mentioned in the where we prove the all existing thing, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there is a 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, finish 3, 4, 5, 6, no more. So we've finished our class 9, and then let's look at the homework. You have to memorize the proof for the three knowledge do not exist really as one thing. That's easy. That one we say, consider the three knowledge. They do not exist really as one because they have parts. As easy as that, by now you already know. And then you do your meditation. And then you go through the steps. Go through the step like what I did just now. Just in your mind, review it or analyze it. Okay, so we finished our chapter 9. I can't believe that I prepared so well so that I can finish within the class. I put in a lot of effort. I give rejoice. Okay, thank you. Let's do a dedication before we finish, we end our class. So just close your eyes. Be very, very, very happy with yourself for being here, for trying to understand, for trying to cope. It is so incredible goodness that you have done. Think of that as like a beautiful gemstone that you can hold in your hands and recall your holy guide. See how happy they are with you. Offer them this gemstone of goodness and thanks them for helping us. Thanks them for being here. See them accepting it and they bless it and see them carry it back into your heart. Feel it there in your heart. It feels so good that we want to keep it. And so we give it away. By the power of the goodness that we have just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. Use 3 long exhale. 1 to send to the one person you want to help at the beginning of the class. 2 to send to everyone you love. And 3 to send it to everyone who have seen you, everyone you have seen. See them all filled with this goodness because of the ripples that you make. Something shift inside them. They don't know why. Because of the ripples that you make. Now bring your mind back to the space here, to the room here, and move your finger. And open your eyes when you're ready.
Thank you, teacher Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Just call me Rich will do.